Hey, welcome back to the Culturalist podcast conversations with Pam Ross. I'm Pam Ross, and woo, today was amazing. I just had the most phenomenal conversation with the Millionaire's CPA. Her name is Janelle Montgomery. And that's right, that's her title, the Millionaire's CPA. So hopefully soon she's going to be my CPA. Let me read you just a little bit of her bio. She provides expert tax planning solutions through strategy, coaching, and education to 6 and 7 figure earning entrepreneurs and business owners, allowing them to confidently reduce taxes and build wealth while living the life they've worked for. She has a natural passion to educate, empower, and inspire everyone she encounters to make their life count. She has also been featured on the local news as a tax expert. Helping businesses and individuals focus their finances has been her mission, as she has been able to create systems to protect and maximize income streams. Protect and maximize. Keep that in mind as you're listening to this podcast. She's an innovative and progressive thinker when it comes to creating strategies for financial plans. And we've had a fantastic conversation. We talked about 3 things. Please take notes. If you're listening to this, kind of bookmark it and be sure and go back and take notes. We talked about 3 things that every entrepreneur needs. And really, even if you are planning on launching a business, or if you just want to be more business minded, more money minded, this is your girl. You're going to love Janelle. I know I absolutely do. So take a listen. Welcome to the Culturalist podcast. Hi, I'm Pam Ross, the Culturalist. I love good conversations with interesting people. In this podcast, we use the art of conversation to explore what's happening in culture. Thanks for joining us. Hello, how are you, Janelle?
Well, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much again for being my guest today and having a conversation with me about money, 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 money. Let me tell you, as someone, I don't know if you know my money story. I've had an interesting relationship with money, being out of my control and sort of just like being in the car with other people, and how they handled the money affected me. Yeah, you know what I mean? So like growing up in the beautiful hills of San Diego and having a dad that made the money and that kind of thing. And then he just made a lot of bad decisions. And yeah, so then my mom needed to leave, and I honor her for being courageous enough to leave. But she left, she didn't have a job. So yeah, so my whole financial outlook, everything shifted as kids. And then as an adult, I had a similar situation as an adult where I worked in the not-for-profit sector. I was so blessed to be able to work for what I was interested in. A lot of people just don't get to work for passion, you know?
That's true.
Yes, I was working for passion and married to a 6-figure guy. And then that whole situation flipped. And so then I found myself having to figure out, like, you know, you start making these internal vows of I ain't gonna never let nobody. And I had to come to grips with how to steward my money well. I'm extremely frugal as a result of what I've gone through. I'm extremely frugal, but understanding as a business owner, you have to spend money. And you have to, you have to track your spending. So anyway, I'm super happy. Oh, bless you. I'm so happy that you're here. So tell me where you're from. Where are you from, lady?
I am from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. My name is Janelle Montgomery. I am a CPA to the Millionaires.
Come on.
Yes, so Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, I have clients just all across the United States. And so I can say that I have like a similar money story as you. As far as, coming from a family where uh where I saw my family didn't make wise decisions with their money. And
Yes.
so now, being as an adult, if you don't change like what you're doing, then what happens is you default to what you've
Yes.
seen growing up. And so
Yes.
you have to be very intentional in order to make different changes in your money story so you can have a different money story than what your parents had. So,
I tell you what, how did you get into this idea, this career? Because it's more than just a job. I feel like it's a calling and a mission to you to help so that people can not be afraid of success, not be afraid of failure, but can focus on their business, knowing that their money, they've got the right habits, that their money's being taken care of. So what led you to this career?
oh, it's so great. Actually, this is pretty funny because ever since I was 3 years old, I've always had a fascination with money.
What?
So I knew I was going to do something with money, something with math. And it's so crazy because I used to like my dream job when I was 3 or 4 years old was to be a cashier because I thought you would keep all the cash. And I'm like, man, those people are rich.
They
I want to
handled
be,
it though, didn't
they
they? They handled
did.
that money for us
Right. They did. And
growing up as
until
little kids. Yes.
I just was like so fascinated. I'm like, wow, you just give them money and they give you back change. I just thought I was so blown away until my dad was like, yeah, they don't keep that money. Like that's not their money. And so I was like, okay. So I knew at a very young age that I wanted to be in a place to where I worked with money some way, somehow. And
Yeah.
so it was so crazy because even in that journey of wanting to be a CPA, there's some things and obstacles that happen in my life. For instance, my
Mhm.
dad passed away when I was 14 years old,
Oh,
and
wow.
my mother being an immigrant and having a sister with special needs, we really had to learn how to journey through that. So my mom had
Yes.
to go get a job where she was a stay-at-home mom before, and we had
Hmm.
to learn how to survive and live off of just the income and be wise with that money. And so
Yeah.
I'm really grateful for my journey because it gave me more of an ambition to like help with money. Like this whole money
Yeah.
story, it just really fueled the fire that was in me. And I
Hmm.
remember even when I was deciding what to do like with my
Yeah.
life, and I knew I was going to become a CPA, but then there was another opportunity that came up to, join the military. But I just heard God clearly when he said, um, go to this school, get your accounting degree, and become a CPA. So I was like, okay,
Come
say
on.
less, Lord.
Come
So
on.
this is what we're going to
That
do. And
is, when I tell you that is a secret, being able to hear God is
yeah,
a secret weapon for every believer.
so
It
true.
will save you years of heartache and pain and figuring it out the hard way. So I'm so glad you said you made a decision based on what you heard. Hmm.
Yes, and
Hmm.
based on what I heard, and I will say that I got involved in a lot of nonprofit work, and
Hmm.
so it was so easy to be like, "Lord, is this what you want me to do?" But God, like I said, I just kept on hearing God say, "Stay on the path." Like,
Yeah.
stay on the path. Like, we know you have a love for ministry. We're gonna see how all that's gonna work out, but I need you to
Yeah.
stay on the path. And
Yeah.
so staying on that path just led me to be exposed to people who were dealing with millions and millions of dollars. And so
Yes.
being in that environment, being in around that exposure, it helped me realize, okay, there's some keys, there's some habits that they're doing
Hmm.
that I'm not doing that can cause my money to multiply and to grow. And so that's why I have a passion to share with entrepreneurs just ways that they can habits that they can adopt in order for them to manage their money and to multiply their money.
Yeah. So it sounds like you went through your formal education and then
Mhm.
the Lord positioned you for a whole different type of education.
Yes.
Yeah. What are
Yes.
can you share any of those things now? Like are there three top things that you say everybody in business ought to be doing this?
Oh, yes, everybody in business. Oh, my goodness. Woo. Oh, y'all got me. Okay, so
Okay.
one of the things I love this. One of the things is to understand that there's three money principles. Really simple is to make money, manage money, and to multiply money. So the thing is,
Okay. I'm taking notes right now.
Yes, yes.
To make money. Now everybody goes in business because we want to make money because
Right.
we have to make money in order to stay in business. So even if you just love what you do, I told my bookkeeper, nobody opens a sandwich shop because they love math.
That's true. That's true.
Girl, listen.
Yes. True. You're
Listen,
right.
nobody opens a sandwich shop because they love math. We open a sandwich shop because we love sandwiches, right? And you
Right.
feed the whole town, the whole city, but you can't do it for long if you don't manage your money. So, first one
Ooh.
is make your money. So, looking at ways, if you're in business, you got to focus on, I got to make my money. What's the second one? Manage.
Manage. You got to manage money. And
Got
so
it.
going back to the make money, you want to make sure that you are managing your feast and famines. I see so many entrepreneurs that make, they make a big amount one month, and then for the
Yes.
next 3 months, they're kind of in famine mode. And the thing is that you want to get it from a drip to a continuous flow.
Okay. Love it.
Have to get a continuous flow. You have to find a model, find a system to where the income is coming in constantly. Like not
Yes.
just coming in as a big, because you may celebrate a big win, but I've seen people just dwindle all of their income away because it's like they
Ooh.
have that big old win, and then now it's like, okay, now we're settling down and we haven't grown. And so the thing is that the level of your impact will determine the level of your income, but you
Mhm.
have to find a way to get that like that continuity flow of income. So that is important as far as making money. The second one is managing money. And the thing is that this is the most important thing because I've seen it. Listen, I know it's going to be hard to believe, but I've seen people make millions and mismanage millions and be broke.
Whoa. We've seen it. No, we've seen it on the news. We've seen it where you know how you see all the clickbait
Yep.
where you think it's no way that person is broke. They had a hit record. It's no way that person is broke. Weren't they in that movie? And
Right.
everybody has, well, I don't know if everybody, but most of us have our financial freedom number where
Mm,
we'll say, most people is anywhere between 2.5, 3 point something million dollars. And we think, well, once we hit that, then we invest it wisely. We live on the interest. But that's not
mhm.
generally what happens, is it?
That is not what happens at all, because the thing is, when we understand what the wealthy do with their money, what the middle class do with their money, and what the people that are below middle class, right, the ones that are struggling do with their money, then it's going to help us realize like how we need to look at money differently. Because if we go
Mm.
back to people that aren't even middle class, right, the ones that are struggling, the ones that are just like barely scraping to make it. Like I
Yeah.
just saw this, and it relates to a lot of people's stories, where there was a barber who like made $1 million, and he was still cutting hair, and he was like, okay, you made $1 million. What happened? Well, what happened is I bought a house for me, bought a house, and they were more into consumers.
Oh, yes.
So as a big financial mistake is that we have to learn how to not be consumers, but to be a producer. And so our
Okay.
mindset has to change.
So I absolutely love your mindset. And I love that you're helping to shift our mindsets here because it's
Yeah,
not just the money, it's the mindset that goes with the money.
so
That's going to
much.
determine everything. And
Mm,
generally, you need to get the mindset before you get the money.
that's so
Because if
true.
not, you're going to learn
Mm.
through the journey.
Oh, you will learn through the journey. Like I
You're
have
going to
seen,
get the lumps.
you're gonna get the lumps, you're gonna get the bankruptcies on the way if you do not grasp these concepts now. And the thing,
So
mhm,
being a consumer versus being a producer. And I often say, I'm a Bible teacher, so everything is the core of who I am is a Bible teacher. So
yeah,
so when I think about this idea of how the wealthiest among us think,
mhm.
generally there's some type of kingdom principle involved in that.
Oh, you get
There
into
really is.
I
There
love
really, yes, because even long-term thinking,
it.
and Jesus is Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, he's always thinking 3 generations. You know what I
Regeneration.
mean? Yeah. So this
So good.
mindset of we're gonna consume some things,
Right.
But being a consumer should not be my goal. Being a producer should be my goal.
I mean, just think about it. If you were wanting some apples, right?
Yeah.
If you were wanting some apples, the easiest way is to, okay, just go get some apples, right? But the
I'm
thing
with you.
is, you're with me, right?
Oh, I
If
just
you
got
take
in the vehicle with you. Yes.
right. And so what happens, what most people do, let's just kind of, because this just came up, right? I love this. And I have a 1-2-5 method that relates to the parable of the talents, but let's start
Okay.
here, right? So with the apple, right? With the apple, um, most people, like I said, that are struggling will just eat the apple and say, "Oh, thank you so much for the apple."
Yes.
But once you get into a place of wealthy and how become going from consumer to producer, you'll learn that there's seeds within that apple. You'll
Yeah.
understand that what you have is a seed. So
Yes.
understand that the money that you have now in your bank account, whether or not if you're struggling, whether or not if you're living paycheck to paycheck,
Mhm.
that you have to change the way you look at it. Is it something that's going to be used for consumption, or are you going to take that and use it as something that can be produced? And so you
Yeah.
take the seed from the apple, you plant it, and guess what? You're going to have
Now
here's
you
the
solved a problem
you
because now
solve the
you have the
problem.
potential for infinite apples. Now, let me tell you something. I went to Durban. You see, I'm holding my head for those of y'all that are listening. I love talking to smart people because they make me, ma'am, you too old, you too young to recognize this line from Cool Mo D, running around holding your head, asking your homeboy, yo, man, you heard what she said?
Hey, I listen. Hey, listen. Yeah, you want MTV
So there's a
raps?
whole
Listen.
line in Cool Mo D's rap. He has a rap called I Go to Work, right? And so but this is why I'm holding my head and my heart. I went to Durban, South Africa,
Mm,
and I had an opportunity to visit people who live in what they call the village. It's up in the mountains. Now
mm,
we would think these people choose to live a rural life, a more traditional life.
mm,
I walked through both the food garden and the medicine garden of a lady. She's a grandma. They call their grandmas go-go. So she's a go-go. Go-go has 4 rows of corn or millies. This is
mm.
when I tell you the wisdom that you have is truly from God, ma'am.
Oh
So she
wow.
says to me, she said, yes, summer is over. It's harvest time. I'll be harvesting all of my millies. She
Mm,
says, I can make corn. I can make meal. I can
mm,
sell it. I can eat some. I can even make bread from it, but I won't harvest all of it. I won't eat all of it. I'll
mm.
save some and let it dry. And then I'll put it back in the ground because inside of everything God gives us is the instruction.
That part.
This is
That
a
part.
this is like a 80-year-old little lady
Oh
living
wow.
in the and so she says, so I never have to ask God for millies. I may
Mm,
have to ask him for rain, but I never because he's given us the instruction inside of the thing. Ma'am. So really what I'm hearing,
I mean, you got me hyped. Okay,
let me tell you, God don't have to repeat himself, but he's given me this wisdom 2 times. One from a little grandma and one from a little sister here. So he's like, damn, you best to put this wisdom to work. So the idea of not being a consumer doesn't mean your needs go unmet. It doesn't mean your needs are gonna go unmet.
right because
What it's gonna mean is you're looking for how can I take what I have and not just use it to buy and consume, but how can I put it to work and produce more?
that part, that
I
part.
love it.
I try to remember who said this, but it's
Yeah.
like you can determine how many seeds are in an apple, but you can't determine how many apples are in a seed.
Okay, I
So
got it.
the thing
Mhm.
is when you plant the seed, it's just more. Like God
Yes.
has put this principle in place of multiplication.
Wow.
Like, and the thing is that she said, I don't have to pray. We have to get to a point to where we
Yes.
don't have to pray. Like we
You know
put
what to do. You have the instruction. You got to work the plan.
that part.
He said, I may have to ask for rain. So you know what that translates in my world? I may have to ask for favor. I may
Mm,
have to ask for open doors. I may have to
right,
ask for opportunity, but I
right.
don't necessarily have to ask for money. I
Because the
take the
only
money that he's already given me and I say, Father, give me the wisdom, the
the wisdom.
favor, help me make an impact.
Mm.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Mm, mm.
A lot of us know how to make it. The issue comes when we're never taught how to manage it.
Yeah.
How to
And
manage.
it's really not, yeah, it's really not anyone, like, it's not your fault. Like, anyone
Mm-mm.
who's listening to this and saying, you know what, I don't understand. I'm in business. I don't want to make the money, but it's like
Yes.
every time I make it, I'm either, struggling to pay bills for the next 3 months, or
Yeah.
something's happening. It's not your fault, because guess what? If you weren't taught the rules of the game, then how would, like, you wouldn't know how to play it.
Come
And so the
on.
thing is the fact that it is not your fault, that's okay. But now when we know better, we can do better, right? When
Absolutely.
when we have the wisdom and we actually see how this wisdom can even correlate with the Bible, because I think about the parable of the talents, right? Where the
Yes.
guy received one talent, he hid it. And that's the thing, is that goes into consumerism. We don't look at multiplying, we don't look at producing. But here's one of the things from that story, with the parable of the talents, is he said, the very least of what you could have done is put the money into a bank and let it accrue interest.
That's
So
the
whenever
that's the least.
the least. So when people are thinking, okay, well, I want to multiply, let me put it in a savings and let it accrue interest. And the thing is that's the very least
Mm-hmm.
that you can do. That's not even the best thing that you can do.
Right.
Like, that would have at least accrued a little bit of interest. But the thing
Yeah.
is, because we're so consumed, we're consumer minded, we just put it in the hole and we never see that money again. And so you have to look at all the things that you own. Is any of them producing for you? Like, what's producing for you? Like, look around and everything that you own, what is producing for you? What is bringing in cash flow?
Now
Or
that'll cure an impulse buyer, honey, right there.
what?
No, seriously. Just say, do you really need that? And what is that going to produce for you?
That's so true. That's so
Mhm.
true.
What is that
I'm
going to produce for you?
that is,
Do I really need this? And how can would I leverage this purchase
mm,
for what is it going to do for me?
mm,
That makes a lot of sense. So if we move from making it to properly managing it, and then we think
mhm.
about multiplying, what are we missing when it comes to how do we multiply this money?
Ooh, here's where the multiplication comes in. It's almost like a domino stack, right? You
Mm-hmm.
manage what you don't have, right? And when it comes to uh managing, here's one thing that I always say is you have to give every dollar an assignment, right?
Okay.
So
Writing.
yes, every dollar needs to have an assignment, right? If that assignment is to go and produce, if that assignment is to go and, if that is to go towards your needs, then let it go towards your needs.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to make sure that you're properly allocating where the money is going. If
Yeah.
you're always in a place to where you're catching up, then find out where the issue is. Is it because we're in a drip mode to where the income
Yeah.
only comes in drips, we're not making money fast enough, or is it because
Mm-hmm.
it's the way we manage? And so the reason why multiplication can come is because if we learn how to manage and get a proper amount in investment, a bigger amount, then we're able to multiply that money.
Ah,
But the
got
thing
it.
is that sometimes our minds are in survival mode when it comes financially, as far as entrepreneurs, because our mindset hasn't changed from consumer. Because the thing is we're in business in order to consume things that we need. But when we
Yes.
come in business in order to produce and to produce and to produce, then guess what? We're going to have more than enough to consume whatever we need to consume,
Love
because
it.
we've learned how to be in a place of producing, right? Even with the parable of the talents, you saw the person with the 2 talents and the 5 talents, they went and they multiplied. How did they
Mhm.
multiply? It's because their mindset was different, right? It was because their mindset was thinking, okay, what can I do to double, to triple, to multiply? So when it comes to multiplication, the thing that keeps a lot of people from doing that is because they think that making more money is going to solve all their money issues, when they have to understand that money management is going to help them come to a place to where they can manage and multiply. And the mindset of a six-figure entrepreneur is different from a mindset of a seven-figure entrepreneur, that is different from an eight-figure entrepreneur. I've been in rooms with them. I've had discussions with them, and I will tell you that mindsets are different.
What
right?
is the number one difference between a six-figure entrepreneur and a 7 or 8?
Ooh,
Like, what's the glaring difference that when
ooh.
you start talking to somebody and you know this is what they need, this is what they're missing to level up?
Yep. The main thing that they're missing in leveling up is going back to the parable of the talents.
Mm-hmm.
The man with the one talent hid his talent, right?
Yeah.
The other two servants, they understood how to release.
Hmm.
A lot of six-figure entrepreneurs that I've seen are so afraid to let go
Yeah.
of their current level, because it's a good level, right? It
It
may be a
is.
good level for them.
It
In
is.
order to get to 7 figures, they're not willing to take the risk. So what happens is, it's like, okay, I made this and I want to guard this and I want to protect it so much to where I don't want to let go.
Yeah. Because it feels like, and I know you have empathy for us, us entrepreneurs. It feels like, first of all, it feels like a risk just to take a leap, leave your job. And so I worked 2 jobs, sometimes 3 for years.
Mm.
So working in my field and then um being called out, really getting a call. Can you come and train? Can you consult? Can you train? Can you like do those kinds of things?
Mm.
So eventually the call out became greater than what I was doing in.
Mm.
So I set a goal. I said, June 2024, I'm taking the leap.
Yeah.
Didn't happen that way. The Lord birthed me out, pushed me out in 2022. Oh, my team had a whole hashtag quit my job 2024. We was gonna leave,
Wow.
and I was leaving in 2024. God pushes me out in 2022. So
Wow.
it's like being born in water. So
Mm.
I was, you're in water in the womb. So you
Yeah.
come out, I'm born in water. I'm like, oh, I know how to do this. Okay,
Mm.
all right, I'm good. I know how to do this. And then you're just amazed that you're not starving.
Right.
Can I just be real? I haven't lost a pound. It's been almost 2 years. Like, oh wow, I'm paying my bills. You know how you feel like I'm doing good. I'm paying my
Right.
bills. All right. Whew.
Right.
Thank you, Lord. And then comes God saying, all right, let's go up a level.
That part. Yeah. Yeah.
Bam. He said, didn't I tell you we was going to 7? Oh, but yeah, Lord, but
I thought we were doing okay here, but nope.
I'm
Nope.
all right here.
That's the one thing that I realize is that
Yes.
it's not more hours that you can put in, because an entrepreneur making 6 figures, like, okay, great. But when you go to make it 7 figures, it's not that you can put in 10 times
No.
amount of the work, 10 times amount of the hours. You have to learn how to leverage. And that's
Yep.
one thing that I see 7-figure entrepreneurs, even 8-figure entrepreneurs, is that they know how to leverage and they have a different mindset. Like, this is exactly where I'm going to be. And the thing is that they learn how to up level as their income up levels, right?
Yes.
And one thing is that because they learn how to leverage every dollar that comes in, every dollar that they spend, they look at a way of how to bring in at least 10 times more of that. So for instance, there was a client of mine that that started flying private. And the thing is that he was starting to fly private, but the way how he was able to make so much income to where it didn't even break him at all. Because the thing is that he learned how to even 100x the amount that he spent on flying private, because he created an offer. So creating offers is where it's at. That's where that make money is, right? Where you have a continuous flow. So you have to look at, as a CPA, where I see people where the breakdown is that they're not doing it often enough, right? Or they're not pricing their sales accordingly in order for them to have a constant flow. And so with that, you make it to six figures. Hey, that's great. But now let's look at how we can multiply, how we can 10x your
Yeah.
income by 10xing your impact, by 10xing the leverage that you have of every dollar that comes in, of every employee that you have. You have to make sure that every expense in your company is bringing a return or an ROI for you. So
That's a whole homework project, and I love it.
that part,
No,
that part.
seriously, because we know it takes money to make money. We've heard that for years, but that's kind of a box to check to make yourself not feel bad when you've got to spend money. You've got to buy a flight for somebody, or you've got to, I have to order books to ship to wherever I'm going. So the books are there when I'm done with whatever my keynote is. So we understand that kind of thing. It takes money to make money. But this idea of looking at real numbers. So if I'm going to invest this $8,000, how can this $8,000 create me 80K?
That part.
And to really consider, how can I leverage this expenditure to justify the expenditure? So it's not just, well, I got to spend it, but no, I'm actually investing. I'm putting this money to work.
That part.
I'm putting this money to work. Okay, this is a question for you personally. Have you published anything yet? Because I really feel there's a grace on you to publish.
I have published. I have published. I am I was in I don't know when there's multiple authors.
Yeah. Like
my short story.
Is it called an anthology? Something like that.
Yeah, anthology. I was gonna say that, but then I was like,
I think that might be it.
An anthology. And so yes, I am in the middle of writing a book actually. So that's
yeah. I feel like there's definitely, even before I met you, I wrote in my notes, has she published? I think she's about to publish something.
Oh wow. Wow, you are right. Oh,
Yeah. You're definitely about to publish something, and it's going to be so needed because it's so many times we're given habits to do. It's sort of like getting physically healthy, everybody in America knows what to do. We already know it. Eat your fruits and vegetables, exercise, drink your water, get plenty of sleep. Anybody in the world, anybody in America at least, could tell you how to get healthy, but most of us are not doing it.
True.
Most of us are not really doing it because it's a mindset over money.
So true.
And I mean, when I tell you, I love this idea of look at what you're making. Yes, everybody wants to make money, but how are you managing? And then how do you multiply? I want to loop back to managing. Are there certain skills that every entrepreneur should know how to do this? Or should we just look to farm everything out?
Well, one of the things,
or even not necessarily even skills, financial habits. Like if you're the owner, you should be looking at this. Don't farm everything out 100%.
Well, I do believe that you definitely want to get to a point to where you can farm things out. But the thing is that you still got to be in the know.
Yeah.
Like with my, 8-figure clients, they're in the know, right? They want to know how much they're making. They have their finger on where their income is. Like they are very particular with
Do they look at monthly reports, quarterly reports? What are they looking at?
Oh, it depends. I know one of them weekly.
Wow.
They want it weekly. Oh, yeah.
So you can't be scared of money if you're looking at real numbers every week.
Oh, looking at real numbers. And guess what? Because they're not. So what it is a lot of people tie a lot of emotion. How can I say emotion to their numbers?
Yes.
They have a bad month. It's like, oh man, I did.
Yeah.
They don't have time for that. They look at it as feedback. Okay, how are we doing so far on our numbers? Okay, this is where we're at. Okay, boom. For some way, somehow, because their mindset, their capacity has grown to a level to where they're like, okay, this is where we're at. Okay, don't worry. By the end of this month, this is where I'm going to be. So they are more proactive versus reactive.
Love it.
So as a successful CFO, I help them become proactive and not just reactive, because it's easy to say, well, this is what you did last month. And right now, I will say, if anyone is at, 6 figures, yes, keep track of your KPIs. That is important, right? Key performance indicators, and understand what that is, whether or not if it is the amount of leads that come into your website, does that equal money, right? Because sometimes we can track the wrong KPIs for our particular business when
Ah,
there are certain KPIs that we need to look at right now. And it may change as we grow as a
yeah,
company. So
yeah.
that's really important. And so as far as managing, just some basic things, maybe, to make sure that you are separating, personal from business, right? Because
Yes.
there can be commingling that's going on, right? And so
Mhm.
that's just one of the things that you want to make sure to separate those out. And then as you're managing, you have to look at each and every one of your systems, because in some people's businesses, there can be places where you're making a lot of money, but it's just holes in your business, right? Those are like
Ah,
things that are just making the money just seep through all of the
okay.
holes. And so because
Unnecessary little fees and yeah,
all of
yeah, yeah,
all
yeah,
of
yeah, yeah.
all of
Okay.
the fees, but then more than that, I think with just looking at expenses, you really have to look at how to leverage your income and what investments you need to make in order to 10x your income. And
Hmm.
really where it starts is your mindset. If you invest into yourself, if
Yeah.
you invest into your mindset and your capacity, then you're going to like find ways in order to multiply and in order to properly like manage the flow. But you definitely need help though. To
Yes. Oh, yeah. Because if not, you'd end up with two careers.
That's so true.
You wouldn't make any sandwiches because you'd be or it becomes drudgery to you because you don't really have a passion for it.
Exactly.
And yeah, I remember balancing books and trying to get things together,
Mhm.
sitting here with my head in my hand, looking at both my screens and saying, I said, Lord, I need a bookkeeper.
Right.
In the moment, this sounds crazy to people when I tell it. In the moment, I got a text from a family member. I had given her, she had hired me actually to coach her 2 years ago. And she said to me, hey, cuz, I finally did it. It was a link to her brand new business as a bookkeeper. And
Wow.
so, yeah. And so the stress that it took off of me
Mm,
I was able to then be more creative. And I
mm,
really feel like, even though it cost me monthly to have a bookkeeper keeping things straight, the stress that it lifted off of me, now I'm able to be more creative,
yep.
show up bigger, better for clients, grow
Mm,
the business in several different directions.
mm,
And it reminds me of what you said about, is the money you're spending helping you make more money?
yeah.
So
Yeah.
I feel like it is an
Mm.
expense, but it's an expense that's actually helping me make more money
Oh,
because
it's
it's
helping.
taking.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Uh-huh.
'Cause
So hiring professionals, I
yes.
tell folks, do not hesitate to hire somebody who knows what they're doing, especially if they're like you, because you're not only a professional, you're an educator.
Yes.
So you educate people in money.
Hmm.
And this idea of, particularly with money, our emotions are tied to it. I know very much in America, good God Almighty. I don't know if
Yeah.
you have international clients and you could tell us if you've seen a difference, but in America,
Yeah.
capitalism, it has us by the neck. And so
Mm.
yeah, so much of our self-image and our self-esteem, all of that is so connected to how our money is looking.
One of the things that I've noticed in in a Jewish culture is that
Mm-hmm.
it's more of an obligation for them to like make money. It doesn't have more of a it's not like a taboo. Like here in
Yeah.
America, it's like, oh my goodness, if you make money,
But we
it's
don't talk about money.
yeah, we don't
But we all
talk
need it and we all want it and we all use it every day.
right. Like we're like,
But
hey,
nobody
let's
talks
not look
about
at
it.
the money, right? But then in other cultures, it's like, yeah, we just like they talk about money like they talk about the weather. Like it's
Sure.
just a
Mhm.
natural part of their conversations. It's never been this weird, this weird moment or taboo to not
Mhm.
talk about it or to be like, oh, if you talk about money, then you're greedy. It's just like they just
Yes.
it's just like,
What
oh
is
yeah,
that? Yeah, what is that about? Because employers have really kind of perpetuated that
oh yeah, oh
because they
yeah.
don't want anybody to talk about how much money they make.
That's true.
Because now somebody's going to start using that word internal equity.
Then also when we talk about getting into other rooms with entrepreneurs,
Mm-hmm.
I remember being exposed in rooms where people are making 10 million, $9 million in a day, $5 million
Yeah.
in a day, $1 million in a day. Now we're not talking about a
Yes.
whole year. We're talking about
Yes.
in a day. And so just to sit here and be exposed to that, it's like these conversations have to be normalized. But what happens is
Yes.
because we've been sheltered, right? We've been taught not to really talk about that and to really be guarded, that we don't let ourselves become exposed. And then if we hear things like that, I've heard people just kind of shut that down, like, oh, that may not be true. But
Oh,
for
it's very
some of the
true.
people, oh yeah, yeah, it's very true.
It's
Like,
very true. Sometimes you're afraid to even say what you made
yeah.
in a for an event or an initiative. Oh, I made this much money. Um,
Mm-hmm.
because half the time you think, is someone going to think less of me because I made less? Is someone going to think more of me? Or they're going to think a certain way about me because I made more?
Right.
It's such a weird thing. And particularly, I think with women asking for the money, saying, believing that you're worth the money, and then knowing what you do with your money, it's a huge education gap
Yeah. Yeah.
where we
Uh,
got to know, hey, we talk about money and it's no big deal.
yeah. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's just normal to be like, oh, how much did you make? How much? Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, yeah. I do these discovery calls with people. Folks want to set up a 15-minute quick call with me, right? So we do a call, and it's really just exploring what me and my team could do for them and their business. So generally, when someone seems very interested, they'll start looking at dates.
Mm-hmm.
And at the very beginning of me working full time for myself, I would say, well, I'll send you a proposal and then you can see the numbers. The Lord was like, ma'am, just tell them the money. It's going to be $12,000, sir. Just tell them, just tell them what it is. Just say what it is. You
Because the
know
people
what?
are ready to buy will be like, okay,
Just
yes,
tell us
let's
the
do
money.
it. Let's sign
Right.
up. Yep.
And then,
Yep.
yes, and they'll say, oh, okay, absolutely. Then we send over all the paperwork after, but don't. And so if you just talk about it like it's a normal thing, then they say, even if they say, hey, I can't do 12, I can do 10-5, then I can decide if I want to do 10-5. But this
Exactly.
idea of like being a little squeamish,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
had to get over that.
Especially the Lord like pushed you out there. You're like,
Listen,
well,
listen,
guess what? These are the numbers.
this is how it works. You can't be afraid to just say what it is,
That's so
because a lot of these folks, they're the visionary, they're the bottom line, they're the decision maker, so they don't need to confer with somebody else to decide if they're going to spend that kind of money.
that's true.
So yeah, yeah, ma'am. So how can people get a hold of you, learn more from you, and even book your services?
I love it. So my website is Coach Janelle CPA. My name is spelled, it's probably going to show up on there, but it's
Yeah.
CoachJanelleCPA.com. Also, I'm on Instagram, Coach Janelle CPA, and on Facebook as Coach Janelle CPA. Through there, you could book my services. I do have a 5-day challenge coming up soon.
Oh,
Uh,
tell me about it. Tell me about it.
Yes, yes. So it's for entrepreneurs, and it's going to be just all the financial things, right? The
Yes.
5 financial mistakes. We're going to talk about how to leverage, how to have a tax leverage in your business. We're
Ooh,
going to talk about, yeah, just a myriad of things in order to like, because you got to know your numbers in order to grow your numbers. So
yes.
we're looking at like profit for purpose challenge. So we're doing that.
Mhm.
And I'm really excited because with that, I feel like that it's really going to serve the entrepreneur community. So
Yes, that's
yeah,
brilliant. And I'm sure you already know this, but it is absolutely needed.
yes, yes,
Absolutely needed. We
for
open a
sure.
sandwich shop because we want to make sandwiches, not because we love math. But and I'm a math geek. I absolutely do love math.
That's
But
good.
there is a part of knowing how to look at these numbers, work your numbers, get your numbers to work for you,
Mhm.
that we have to embrace. We have to fully embrace it. And to keep as you said, you may not be the one crunching all the numbers, but you need to get your reports in, understand all your reports. I mean, and track that stuff down. I used to travel and still do with a dear friend who's a very successful entrepreneur. And at this
Mhm.
time, I was a full-time employee, part-time business owner. And when I say we would eat at Cracker Barrel, just any little place on the road, on a road trip.
Nice.
She would pull out her glasses, look at this receipt. And I'm thinking, she is balling. Why is she looking at this receipt? She's like, I got it, sis. I got you, right? It wasn't that she didn't want to spend the money. She
Right.
wanted to know
Yeah.
where everything was going, why it was. So even little things like that, I've noticed just being around people that handle much bigger numbers than I do. It's a huge education. So y'all do yourself a favor, send this podcast, send this recording to somebody
Send
who
it.
is in business. And oh, wait, you know what? There's one more question I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
So many people are launching businesses. And whether it's your side hustle, I tell everybody, even I have 3 natural daughters, I tell them, you never have one job. Come on, you're a Black woman. You do something on the side, right? What are some mindsets we need to adopt before launching into business, or even habits? Are there things we can do in our personal business habits that will serve us well when we do launch our businesses?
I would say one of the things that can help if you are currently in the workforce is
Mm-hmm.
that you have to look at your employer as a client. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Like they're your first investor into your business, right?
that's brilliant.
Yeah. So instead of looking, because the thing is when you're an employee, and sometimes the employee mindset is to get into I hate to say it, but more like a victim mentality of
Yes. And I'm going to do the least I have to do. I'm going to do what I have to do.
exactly.
Yeah. That's so smart.
And yeah,
And it's
and
in
to make
alignment with something God told me, even as I was preparing for years. He said, never cheat your boss, never cheat your company that you're working for. I worked in not-for-profit sector. He said, because one day you're going to be the one hiring. And he
mm,
also said, you don't want to develop lazy habits for when you work for yourself,
that's true.
where don't be in a staff meeting, but you're doing your own thing. Answering client emails when I'm in a staff meeting for my work. I would never, because it caused my days to be long. I would get home at 6. I would start taking meetings at 6:30 and work from 6:30 to 9, and
Wow.
then go to bed. Yep, because I said I'm not taking coaching clients. I'm not doing any of my work while I'm at work, because they're paying me to be here and to produce for them.
Mm,
So I've done lunch break stuff, but never on their clock. And I
wow.
felt like God disciplined me in that,
Mm,
because he said, you don't want to develop those habits so that then when you're working for you, you're cutting corners and but
ooh,
I
that's
love that idea. Begin even now to see your employer as a client. They've
yeah.
made an agreement with me to pay me this amount of money, and I'm
Mm,
showing up to make this happen for them. I
exactly.
love it.
That's awesome.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're so brilliant. I'm so happy I met you.
Same. I
Do
agree
people
too. I'm
tell
like,
you that all the time?
well, I'm glad to have met you. This is
Yes, you're
so awesome.
absolutely brilliant. I'm thankful for your story. And where's your mom from?
My mom's from Korea.
Oh, wonderful.
Hmm.
I'm
Hmm.
so happy to have met you. And let's definitely keep in touch. Y'all do
Yeah.
yourself a favor. Please follow this brilliant woman, because she's dropping some gems. And it's a matter of changing mindsets, building habits, being intentional, looking for the results you want. And if you're ready for her, or you actually will get people ready. But if you're ready, if you're ready for her, please reach out. Janelle, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you today.
Wow. Awesome. Thank you.
Catch me on social media at PR The Builder. Visit me online at pamross.com. Catch you next time.